So again, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, part 5. Remember, they're changing my voice. I'm at Paradise Park in Morgan Hill. I'm limiting these videos to 5 minutes. I've gone over why in the last videos. Okay, so in verse 20 and 28, it says God's going to make them confused. Now this is key here, because if you're confused, you have trouble consenting. And there's a spectrum of confusion. There is a spectrum. Part of what they do is they like to make it seem like that magically, that I would be magically confused, which is not the case. I'm only confused at moments when I'm being fumed. But my life journey, my consistent argument that I'm the one set apart to lead and the last valid leader ever that I've been making for years and years and years now, my top martial artist legal and peaceful challenge, there's no being confused about that. I'm not confused about 1 + 1 = 2 in arithmetic, nor am I confused that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 5. My argument is sound. Hopefully they won't edit that part and remove a few ones, right? Because what they're doing is that immature and childish, and it's very, very shameful. Okay, so go to verse 29. At midday you will grope about like a blind person in the dark. You will be unsuccessful in everything you do. Day after day you will be oppressed and robbed with no one to rescue you. You'll be pledged to a woman, but another will take her and rape you. And rape her. Well, also the person too, because the two become one flesh, and it's in various manners, right? Figuratively and otherwise. You will build a house, but you will not live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but you will not even begin to enjoy its fruit. So it's saying that people are going to live rape by deception, and there's going to be forcible rapes and various forms of rapes because they're confused, right? Use, confuse, and abuse. It's like roofing a chick. What does it do? It confuses her. Getting her drunk. What does it do? It confuses her. If you constantly bombard people with theater arts, psychology, and misdirection, and subtle coercion, okay, and propaganda, what have you, they get confused about what to do. People are actually confused in a life that is short about the obvious fact that they're supposed to rally and obey God through me. That's the only sane thing to do. It's the only worthwhile thing to do. So they're unsuccessful in everything they do, especially in achieving the point of life. Why does Elon Musk choose to hoard billions and billions of dollars when for just $30 billion, especially if he gets his think tanks involved, that he could build tiny homes for the poor, okay, and build a million of them and solve homelessness? Why doesn't he do that? Why don't he do that with his 30 billion or so instead of buying Twitter? Because he's confused about what to do, even after DuckTales made it clear that being a Scrooge McDuck type of person is a mistake. It's a huge mistake. Being a rich Scrooge McDuck and having a famous jiu-jitsu challenge, grappling challenge with Mark Zuckerberg, another famous Scrooge McDuck, no offense to anybody, is a mistake that overkills that he's unsuccessful. We see the hoarding. We see the bad judgment. We see the refusal to be decent and fair and just. And we see it oh so often with the rich, that to this day there's not a single exception. At least, rather, in this day and age we live in, there's not a single exception. And after my flesh dies, there will never be another exception. All right. So again, it says that the one, let's go over this rape part because it's key here. A lot of you don't understand this. You keep reproducing like it's smart or something. It's not smart. Okay, when you have those daughters, they're gonna be turned out by the system. Okay, they're gonna be sexually abused and tricked and used, confused and abused. Okay, even if they're not directly molested as a child. Okay, the more you play into their hand, the more you play stupid about the technological direction of society, including microtechnology, nanotechnology, that allows them to hack your brain, that has these big corporations so concerned about their information security, okay, because it's such a real threat. They have to spend millions of dollars trying to come up with a way to deal with it, billions perhaps. There's no way around it. How's the average person like you going to take care of their son or daughter when you know that there's millions and millions of people who are child molesters all over the world, and lots of them live in America? How are you going to protect them? Lots of them are rich. You know that 1 in 5 CEOs, according to their own publications, are psychopaths. And there's narcissists. How are you going to protect your family? Why do you keep reproducing? There's a reason why Paul said he'd rather not have people have relationships. There's a reason why Christ in Luke 23, as a character in the story, said, "Blessed are the childless women the breasts that never nursed, and the wombs that never bore. Then they will say to the mountains, to the hills, fall on us and cover us from the wrath of God, who's partially mad at you because you wouldn't stop reproducing. That's part of why he's mad at you. You act like you can't interpret the signs of the times. You act like you have no sense and no judgment. You refuse to be wise. You refuse to move on the path of righteousness and justice, which would allow you to be wise. And what naturally happens, even if you're agnostic, you should know that I'm right, is that you go into a state of confusion. Your lack of mental clarity is confusion. And you grope around like a blind person in the dark. And the people, the women in your neighborhoods, in your families, your girlfriends, your wives, they're being raped in various ways all the time. You will plant a vineyard, you will build a family, but you will not reap the fruits of having a decent family because you chose wickedness and you don't want to admit to yourself that God made the heavens and the earth, and he's going to make a new heaven and a new earth, like it says in Isaiah, the last 6 chapters especially. It explains why that is. I've gone over it many times in many videos. Well, I'm out of time on this. I got a limit to 5 or 6 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and continue in part 6.